welcome to Fine, I'll Watch It. I'm Smoking Phat J.
I'm Matt Christy.
I'm James Soap.
And we are here to talk about your friendly neighborhood Spider-Man, the latest animated MCU show on Disney Plus. This one, we did a little review of the first couple episodes a few weeks back. Both myself and James kind of shat on it.
I bullied everyone into watching the series.
Yeah. I mean, you didn't have to bully me. I think
I hate five episodes today. I hate watched it.
Five though.
And a couple episodes weren't bad, so that's not bad. That's a good thing. So, but I hate watch as much as I could today.
I made you hate watch it. I said I bullied.
You didn't bully me and
I did a bad food anyhow. It didn't matter.
I think if they said at the end of that last one that it was something that it gave me enough intriguing stuff that I was going to watch. I did wait until it was close to being over before I started watching it again.
Hey, I'm taking my win. Whatever,
bro. Whatever. So we're gonna examine the whole series. Both myself and Matt watched the whole series. James watched 5 episodes. You watched the last 2 episodes, though, right?
I did watch the last 2, which were both rewarding and not rewarding, which we'll get into. But yeah,
sure.
Depends what other episodes you saw, which we'll find out here shortly.
The first 3, and then I just skipped to the end. I'm actually, I will say this as a compliment. I'm going to go back and at least watch one more episode because something was kind of set up, and I was like, I would have liked to have seen that.
Yeah.
So
that
would be
well, beware, may or may not, because there's a couple things there at the end that kind of are just like, maybe they said something about that. I don't recall.
Well, no. Episode 9, you kind of have to see. I think it's 7.
Do they talk about the scorpion attack before it happened?
Yes.
Yeah. And did we see how Otto got thrown in jail?
Yes. That's episode 8.
Yeah, we did. We did see.
Okay. So I saw him in jail. I want to know, do we see him get
7?
Yes. Episode 7. See what happens.
I would like to see more of him. Just I'm a Doc Ock fan. Always have been.
Doc Ock is pretty great in this.
Season 2 is Doc Ock's focus.
Yeah, you could.
So
we'll get into it. I hated the show from the start. There is some good stuff in the show. We'll go back and forth on it, but it did feel like I would have wanted a stronger ending. But we'll get into all of that.
I was not thrilled with the first 2 episodes. They make that first episode really pay off in the end, or at least the very first part of that episode.
Yes,
but it does get much better throughout, and I have to give it this. It's a big swing. They're doing a lot of different things in this than we're used to with Spider-Man, similar to what they did on the whole in the MCU with Spider-Man, which I think paid off way better than you would expect if someone was like, hey, we're never going to show Uncle Ben, and we're going to do these things. And Aunt May in the end is going to say, with great power comes great responsibility, but you're going to fucking love it. You to said, go fuck yourself, on all this, but I think they took some big swings there, and I think they connected for the most part. For me, I think most of it connected. There was some, this is still a cartoon, it's probably more made for teens than for us, really, but, I think the interesting things, I liked the parallel storyline with him and Tombstone and them being friends, and, would it have been interesting if they would have done some version of Flash and this and that? It would have been cool, but it was refreshing. It was a refreshing take. Same thing with like Harry and Norman Osborn being kind of more his mentor stuff, but with a ulterior motive. And I think most of those things paid off for me by the end of the episode. There was some things like with the Amadeus Child and all, and that whole, like conglomerate, and obviously setting up their little super team that's going to be coming around next season and stuff like that. It's like, it's fine, but
the biggest problem I think I have. The biggest problem I have with this, just going right in, is we're dealing with another retelling of the Spider-Man origin story. in television or movies. And it to me,
Another
this is
Ouroboros thing too.
Yes.
it just for me it felt so much like Beyond the Spider-Verse sort of stuff with the Miles Morales stories, where it's like, oh, it's the same stuff, it's just kind of slightly altered. I did not like Across the Spider-Verse or Into the Spider-Verse. I did not.
Yeah.
I liked elements of those movies, but I did not like those films. But I know a lot of people did like it. So I wonder if this is not just a new retelling, maybe for that younger generation. So if it is, there is things I got right in this show, but overall, like I didn't like the music. I don't like the animation. The retelling of the story I found interesting. It felt like it grabbed and pulled from multiple different things, which we'll get into a minute. But at the same time, one of the biggest compliments I could give this, it is very hard to get that Spider-Man mixture of action and teenager bullshit. It's actually very hard for whatever reason, because we've seen 8 million comic book writers and many movie and TV show and writers fail at that. This show is actually a very good mixture of his teenage bullshit and his superhero stuff. To a point that I was actually in watching this, I was impressed several times of like, oh, you incorporated this into this, and you did that into this.
And the action is great. Like I think the action sequences in this, even though like I'm not really that down on the animation like you are, but I really do think that the action sequences stand out quite a bit.
If only Disney knew some animators. If only Disney knew a couple of animators.
Well, they all died.
Motherfucker, I went back and I watched that Beauty and the Beast recently. God damn it. We've been ripped off for a couple of years.
They do know some animators. Unfortunately, those animators have been terrible people.
Yeah, that's true.
Bo DeMayo.
Hey.
Since you want your name bandied around so much with all animated series now. So, outside of that opening action sequence in the first episode, while the rest of the episode is kind of slower paced, getting you to introduce these characters and everything like that, the one thing this series does so much better than a lot of Spider-Man series is its characters work because they spend time on them. They're not.
Yeah.
They're not there just in servitude of Spider-Man or Peter Parker. They're their own characters. They have their own lives. They have their own wants and everything like that, and they spend the time on them to build them up and make you care about them enough that when you see them on screen, you want to see them on screen.
There were many opportunities for them here, I think, in this show to go with just the stereotypical sort of characters, and they didn't. The jock's not stupid. The pretty girl's not, it was not vain. Like, they could have gone into a lot of different stereotypes, and they didn't. They actually kind of spent some time developing their characters. One of the things I always bring up when people talk about like the love of Spider-Man, there's a documentary about like the history of Spider-Man. And DC Comics, there's a wonderful moment where a person's retelling the story of, he remembers hearing an editor at DC going into the writer's room, into the the DC Comics writer's room with an issue of Spider-Man, and slaps it on the table and says, there's 4 fucking pages of this kid, a teenager talking to his aunt. And this is the #1 selling comic. What is wrong with America? Like, what are we like? And the funny thing is like, yeah, we were buying it because there's 4 pages of Peter Parker not kicking out, like actually talking to his aunt and trying to figure out who he is in this world and what he should be doing with his life. And that was like one of the main plot points of the whole first season, which was nice. It's like, yeah, that's Peter Parker stuff. So that's nice.
So here's the thing. When you go back and watch the episode, I understand you want to see episode 8 to see what happens to Doc Ock and everything like that.
7, I want 7.
No, but that's fine. You cannot watch 8 until you watch 7. I'm going to put it that way. Because episode 8, without giving anything away really like that, is a Spider-Man episode without Spider-Man.
Right.
And it works because of 7. So
Fair.
you need to watch 7 before you watch 8, and to understand why that episode works. And you never see Spider-Man once in the entire episode, and it also has the line "twisted"
Yes.
in the
in the recap twisted afterwards, and we'll get into. Why don't we do that? Because it seems like overall we have positive reactions for this show. Why don't we talk about the stuff we don't like right now? We'll go around and say what we don't like. Then we can focus on.
Yeah, I'll go back to something you just said. I did like that it was refreshing that there weren't as many character tropes in this. And that, Spider-Man was, Peter Parker was actually a nerd, looked like a nerd, you know what I mean? Where like the last Peter Parkers have been normal cool in the MCU. But I do not like still that they, in those first couple of episodes, they kind of hit you in the head with that. I'm not the jock that's the normal jock. Like, he's literally exposition telling you that he is not the normal guy. Show me he's not the normal guy. Don't tell me. There's a lot of tell me and not show me rather than show me, not tell me. It does.
Some of the dialogue was rough as fuck, yeah.
And so I have some issue with that. Again, some of it is not written for me. Maybe it is. Maybe it doesn't need to be dumbed down for the kids, but maybe I understand that they are dumbing it down a little bit for the kids. Maybe not dumbing it down, but just, aging it down really, so that it's maybe a little bit more apparent, some of these things. But again, for the most part, I don't have a lot of bad things to say. It's that, and it's those couple of instances where it's like, here's your setup for something later that we're going to spend some time on that we could have probably spent a little bit more on story.
I've got some bitches, and I'll go through them right here. One, I'm going to say this now. I'm going to say this for forever. I want this to be written in fucking stone. Every time we bring in Spider-Man's parents into the equation, we have fucked the pooch. We have fucked up everything, and it's it's also
like the Richard Page.
There hasn't been. I know everybody. I like this story. I like this element. I like this story. None of it has ever worked, and I find it padding for padding's sake rather than character development's sake. Who Peter Parker is, who he came from, I think is well established and already worked.
That was great though.
Well, it's Josh Keaton who does who currently does Captain America's voice in all animated.
And he
Marvel.
does. He did Spider-Man.
He did. I'm saying he did Spider-Man before, but that does. Yeah.
So every time they bring that in, no matter what, if it turns out like the next fucking Avengers film, it's fucking Peter's dad. I'll throw my feet at
the only thing I was happy about that was because in a brief moment I thought, is that Ben? Is that what they're doing with Ben? Ben's in jail, and somehow.
I would have liked it more had it been evil Uncle Ben. Hey, where's the heroin, bitch? Had he just been crazy evil, I think I would have been more for that. But every time, no matter what alternate storyline, I haven't yet seen Spider-Man's parents work. And the thing I would always argue back is when we talk about these characters and archetypes, it's where they come from is important, but then it ends there. And Spider-Man is not that tricky. It's not that complicated. Everybody's a damsel in distress. Sometimes even Spider-Man himself. So it's Spider-Man trying to overcome his guilt and his hardships to help everybody else out, like a good human should, like a good Spider-Man should. So we don't need to go more into his parents. It's just presenting a new, a forced emotion villain. And that's what it's been every time. And it's lame. And so, don't do that. The other thing is, I really liked Lex Luthor in this. It was so cool for Lex Luthor to be posing as Norman Osborn. And also, big thank you for us watching 5 or 6 hours of this, and we never get to see the the Green Goblin Spider-Man fight.
Well, it teases parts.
Yeah.
Okay.
I appreciate
playing the long game.
I appreciated that they did not pull the trigger on Norman Osborn. That he at right now is mostly altruistic, but has that I want everything to be about me type
Yeah, he's
thing.
obsessed.
But not to the point of a full detriment to him as a character.
Right.
Yeah.
So it was
how they wrote him and his relationship to Peter is probably the best thing in the show.
Yeah.
Like it's like they really spent some time thinking about Peter needing a mentor. And yeah, they're stealing from the Spider-Man Homecoming. Yeah, they're stealing from this and that. You know, they're taking from a little bit of here and there, but every comic books do. Like all the comic books steal from each other, so it's fine. But I like that relationship a lot. But we should have. I think if we were ending the first season, we should have. You know.
I think,
and I would.
I think it has to do with Doc Ock. I think it's all going to culminate with that storyline in the second season. So, like I said, I'm glad they didn't pull the trigger for that. And if they're saving it for a more meaningful story around everything, then
I also think that this whole season was more about the duality of him and Lonnie. You know what I mean? And their similar paths that they were walking, yet the decisions they made were kind of different, and both of them kind of being altruistic, but you know, one of them kind of making a decision to go kind of the bad route versus the good route, but that still being a gray area a lot too. You know, I think that was more what it was about. And now, you know, now they're going to give him more of the arch villain. It was kind of, you know, the Scorpion, you know, he was way more of a generic bad guy, just something that needed to give them, you know.
Was Matt Gargan really more than a generic villain when he was introduced?
I mean, he never really was ever supposed to be, but that's what I'm saying is I think that was the perfect
It's hard to make a lot of the Spider-Man villains look cool. They are not great villains. They are terrible. And I gotta say, the Scorpion in this that I saw in episode 9 was more of a threat than most Scorpions I have seen come before him. His tail felt like a threat, and he was very quickly using it. And his fucking kids in the hall refusal to stay down was quite comical. So, you know, like, they whooped his ass 4 times, and Scorpion was like, I didn't hear no bell.
Yeah.
Fucking Ricky Marched him the entire time. So it was like, all right.
Said I could do this. I could do this all day.
Exactly. He's like, I can do this all day, Scorpion style. So, what I loved is Peter nearly killed him just out of frustration with dealing with stupid people that won't do what you say. Now that I think we all can relate to. Somebody just being so obnoxious, you're like, God, you won't stay down, fine, I'll just murder you. I'm going to murder you.
Well, like I said, episode 7 builds into that too.
Yeah.
Definitely.
I like 7 and 8. Like I like. The first one sucked. The first episode sucked. It gets saved a lot because of the last episode, which gets us smart, and we'll get into stuff we like, I guess, which is like the book ending of the storytelling is nice. If this was a one-off, however, if it's a one-off, then we should have gotten a big battle between our main characters that we've been investing our time into.
Well,
after what was the fucking Star Wars one where they had Old Man Yoda show up and shit, where that got canceled.
The one we literally just watched this last year, which was Acolyte.
Is it the Archetype?
The Acolyte.
Archetype.
Archetype.
Archetype. What? Star Wars Archetype.
It's pretty close. Though,
it's like that show should have been the canary in the coal mine for you guys, right? Like you're gonna end.
Well, news from this year is yes, it's over for one particular member of that family. Kathleen Kennedy is supposed to give up this year.
Oh well, that'll make the internet
I'm
happy.
not.
Kathleen Kennedy, you got the worst fucking raw deal of anybody. Like, we didn't like it when Lucas was doing it. It was his bat and ball. And we were still like, you're fucking up the game. And then, like, there was no win. There was never a win, I think, in inheriting the Star Wars stuff. And she did some good shit. She made a comical amount of mistakes, but so did George Lucas, and so does whatever asshole gets it next.
Yeah, but George Lucas gave up early.
Yeah.
So.
I did, yeah, and then he went into his Scrooge McDuck money bin and swam around his money and forgot about all of his fucking problems.
Exactly.
Like, I get walking away from it. But also, I'm not to be a geek and a gatekeeper. It's on you guys. It's on the Kathleen Kennedys. You say you're going to sell us something as good as the original 3 Star Wars movies, 4, 5, and 6. What do you put the Star Wars name on it?
Yep.
So now you are putting yourself in that class, and I am buying a ticket not because it's Kathleen Kennedy's next thing, not because it's Rian Johnson's next thing, even though I will sometimes watch that motherfucker's next thing. It's like I'm watching it because it's Star Wars.
Well,
So
and you're going off of nostalgia, but you honestly have to make that thing better than the original. It's almost an impossible thing because we go back and watch it with rose-colored glasses. If it came out today, based on what we know about today, we would probably shit on a lot of those old things because they would come off very dated. You know what I mean? If not a lot of other things. But so you've got to build off of. You've got to make me feel something that I felt when I was a kid, but make it new at the same time, and somehow more, matured along with me. You know what I mean? So,
and that's why I appreciated Skeleton Crew, though it was more kid focused, and the level was more kid oriented. They did the thing that a lot of us have been asking for, was put something in the Star Wars universe that didn't relate fully to everything we've ever seen. What did you have in this? You had Jedis and a brief allusion to Order 66. Otherwise, the rest of it was just taking place in the Star Wars universe as a completely separate thing.
Yep, with things that we'd never seen before.
The one that I think a lot of people forget too, A New Hope, Empire, and Jedi had visuals that no one had ever seen before. And that's kind of part of it. Not only were they simplistic stories, well told and pretty well acted, there was effects and things they did on that screen that had never been seen before. And really, the only thing that's been razzle dazzle of the new recent films is like moments here and there, And so there's never been any sort of big set piece that really blew me away.
The first Iron Man movie. Like, honestly, like the fucking suit in that first Iron Man movie, go back and watch it. It holds up still. It's and at the time we had not seen shit like that before. We were still getting kind of bad X-Men, X-Men and Spider-Man had some good parts, but there was still some real messy, CGI stuff going on that made it look unbelievable. That movie, pretty much everything fucking, you were just like, holy shit, there's a dude who can fly around in this fucking suit. And it clicks and clacks.
The Mark 1, you're like, he could probably build that shit in the cave. And then by the time he's making Mark 3 by the end, you're like, I think this guy could actually build the shit. We buy into it to the point that, and the first Iron Man movie is great.
I've seen TikToks where people are making this shit that looks exactly like it too. It might not fly, but it looks exactly like that Mark 1.
But give it time, man. Give it time. And it's what I love is Iron Man wins at the end because he went through his trial and errors. He flies up fucking the Big Lebowski into space, and the Big Lebowski freezes. And it's like he knew you froze if you got. And it was like that stuff's great. And so
I'm gonna out scientific method you right now.
But that's my last bitch. My last bitch is not going to your ending, go Venture Brothers again, drink. But it's like go to the ending and write your ending, and we will love it, and we will crave for more. But we went to the middle and stopped. Yeah,
I,
if I like it, just insert $16 more to get the real show.
the only
it's
thing
just
the
like-
only thing I'll counter on that is because of the development cycle for the show that we talked about when we talked about this originally, was that they were doing this. They had a bunch of changes, everything like that, and I'm pretty certain that this series had just the one season. Whether Doc Ock was involved in the original plan for not, I'm not sure.
He might have been the little teaser for the next season.
Yeah,
originally.
but when they knew they were doing season 2, to me it seemed like they got through this season. They got to the end they wanted to for this season, and the last 5 minutes, which was fortunately 5 minutes, not half a full episode, which some of these series have been doing, was these little teases for what's going to come along the line. Doc Ock and Norman Osborn being the biggest thing, and that took place early on in episode 9, being the only major point that's carrying forward from here that we know of for certain. So I was appreciative of that fact that these teasers were very small compared to the rest of the season, and seemed like something they probably added on last minute, knowing that, okay, we're doing season 2. Let's just give a few things for what's coming ahead.
Well, Matt, give us your bitches.
My bitch is that the weakest character in this series is Peter Parker. That's
their storytelling for this. Their storytelling for this.
I know.
That begins. It's Spider-Man Begins. He doesn't know who Spider-Man is yet. But I get that, right?
But no, that's not what I mean, though. I mean, he is the least interesting character in this series of characters, and the series is about him.
Too. Like Aunt May, they didn't do anything with, and not to be that guy, but and I know we all know Sam Raimi's Up in Danger, and there was a lot of the comic, but Aunt May was still his grandma and his mom all at the same time in the comics. Where she was giving him advice, but also making sure he had hard rock candy every now and again. Like it's like. And that shit kind of works. I don't know. I would have liked to see Aunt May do something more than be a knockoff of fucking My Cousin Vinny. It's like, whatever.
The only detriment to Peter Parker being the weakest character is, in this, a lot of praise he gets from other characters isn't necessarily earned by anything you see on screen for Peter Parker. It's a lot of telling you the great things that Peter Parker does, but you don't necessarily see them on screen, where you see the other characters' actual actions and everything like that make them good characters and understand why people do or don't like them. Spider-Man works just fine, because Spider-Man does exactly what Spider-Man needs to do in a Spider-Man series, but Peter Parker, your main protagonist, for whatever reason, is your weakest character in your series, and the series doesn't suffer because of it. So he's almost like an audience point of view character, or one of those you're thrown into this world, and you're this character trying to navigate the rest of this world and characters without that type point of view. So that's my biggest issue with this series. It's like, well, you have this character that I could care less about.
Yeah.
So let me ask you guys this then. So are there any let's at least give one standout thing that you really did like about the series, like your biggest thing that if you were trying to tell someone to watch this, what would be your big sell?
Not to ruin it for James, unfortunately, but the fact that they got in a full Spider-Man No More storyline and then redemption in 10 episodes was probably the biggest good thing about this series. Is the writing was tight enough to be able to convey that storyline in their way and then bring it full circle, instead of having, what was it, like 50 or so issues of it in the actual Spider-Man comics, where you go down to reach Spider-Man No More, and then him coming back and being the hero he thought he could be all along. So I mean, just the writing basically again is probably the strongest standout for this series in that regard. I'm discount dialogue, the story writing.
Right, story arc.
Yeah. I mean, if I was the nicest compliment I could give this is it kept reminding me of another favorite sort of Elseworlds, but like Long Halloween from Batman, where it was kind of like, well, these are these characters are just slightly different than what you know, or they haven't been developed yet, and we're watching them develop in this time. The thing I loved the most for me personally was just the reevaluation of the relationship between Norman Osborn and Peter Parker, which is the strongest relationship in this series and show. And I haven't seen all the episodes, but from what I've seen, the time they dedicate to the two of them is very interesting. If you watch the show and you like it, I would recommend several Amazing Spider-Man comic books, a couple of Web of Spider-Man comics. You can read the Ultimate stuff if you're bored with everything else. And then
You'll understand Peter's dad.
If you
I would argue
like this show, there's a lot of great Spider-Man out there, and
I would argue
go hunting,
that
and you'll find more great stuff. But there was decent stuff enough, I think, in this show, which is a good segue to the stuff we liked for this show. What was the stuff we all liked about it?
Well, I would say that the relationship, the strongest relationship I think that they build is actually three, is between Peter, Harry, and what's the girl's
Nico.
name? Nico. Because
Yeah.
they have, and they run through it pretty quick. Oh, it's the whole, hey, I got my two friends, they don't really like each other, but then, everybody has, comes along and, they all know he's Spider-Man, you know what I mean? I kind of like it better when his, at least close people know that it's fucking him, because you would. If one of us was a fucking superhero, like the first time you ran into me dressed in Spider-Man outfit, you'd be like, Jared, is that you? You know what I mean? Like, you're not gonna, it's not gonna fly. So I like that they got past that, and I like that they built that friendship together, because obviously you've got Nico has some secrets going on that are gonna come out, and there's gonna cause some friction there. And Harry has the potential to become Hobgoblin or whatever, Green Goblin 2 or whatever he becomes in this iteration, and that means something now, because you've established a friendship. A lot of times it's like Harry and him, it's more like you don't really see how they're friends. Like, it feels like, why are these guys friends? These guys were forced upon each other, but you quickly realize that they have a lot in common, and that they become friends.
The original Spider-Man trilogy, where Harry the rich kid and Peter the poor kid were best friends, but you accepted it because you knew Spider-Man comics, and that was just the way it was. But on screen, there really wasn't a reason for those two characters to be friends.
Very much so. Very much so.
Yeah, it builds up the relationship well for this stuff.
Well, what else do we want to say?
Talking about Spider-Man and his amazing friends, which was what I called the three of them, because it just felt like Spider-Man and his amazing friends, especially when we get...
that's his little science buddies next season, trust me. There's going to be a little, one of those, a group of people who are going to be seeing if that's what's going to fly with the kids next season, and they're going to have a
lazy producers were like, give me somebody with fire and somebody with ice, and put them with Spider-Man, and we'll make a cartoon. And they were like, well, our ice guys with a completely different group, fuck it, I don't care. And
we own
the
rights to all of them.
I don't give a shit. Put them all in one. Put them in an apartment. Have a lever that reveals the secret fucking laboratory. So they get their security deposit back if they return the secret laboratory untouched. They're allowed $125 worth of damages to the secret laboratory.
They talk to their landlord like that landlord from Coming to America, who's just like, "Nah, cool. I'll trade for this one. No problem. Go to my shitty apartment." I'll take what would be arguably millions of dollars in computer technology for the 80s. You know what I mean? No problem.
James is
as much
giant.
James is the giant peach right now. There you go.
as much as I made fun of the animation in this, and I didn't like the anime, and I'm not looking forward to season 2 animation if it ever gets made. Doc Ock's fucking design made me so happy
Oh yeah.
because it is Jack Kirby ugly, just horrible. I just love it.
Mhm.
Like it's just perfect. It's so wonderful.
Yeah, I love it.
I enjoyed the usage of the comic panels when they came
Yeah.
out. It's like it wasn't overused,
Mhm.
and it was a mix between being done in action and being done in certain other scenes. That it
Talking to you, Ang Lee.
yeah, yeah. Ang Lee, comic book panels because it's a comic book. It's like, no. This is how you do it. I'm just gonna tell you watch more episodes.
And Brokeback Mountain.
I'm comic book panels and Brokeback Mountain. That'd have been wonderful. I'd still say watch the entire series, James, but another thing you missed, I'll bring up just as an overall thing. Episode 6 has the Daredevil fight, and that's where it introduces Daredevil and why he's at the end of the series.
Yeah, you do get some cool cameos in this.
Yeah,
You get Daredevil, you get Strange, you get who else is in it?
The person who arrests Doc Ock. Don't say it.
Okay.
He pops in episode 8. Other than the Doc Ock or the Doctor Strange story, that serves as that serves as the full circle. The cameo characters in this, as you would find in comic books, are in.
First off, it's like, hey, Norman Osborn's up to something. And Daredevil's there investigating that, and that's a very Daredevil thing for them to run into each other doing, So
And their fight is a pure Daredevil Spider-Man fight. Two good guy characters fighting against each other. Daredevil not necessarily trying to hurt Peter, and he understands and says to him directly, "So, kid, I know your heart is in the right place."
yeah,
and then proceeds to kick his ass because he knows what he's doing.
yeah.
And Peter just having fun with the fight. I may not be able to do just this free form, fun-loving thing that I do with all these other things.
Yeah, let's turn it up a notch.
So,
well, let's go in and let's rate this.
bitch?
We'll talk a little bit more about Daredevil that we're going to be having coming up next. Hey, I'm here to sell you some insurance. He's that guy from the Pee Wee Herman show, remember?
No, he's selling us a Jackbox game.
There you go. Yeah.
Yes, you don't know Jack.
Skype.
You don't know James.
Skype.
Ah.
There it is. Just leave him that big. That's fine.
No. How many is this out of?
Yeah. What are we doing out of 5? I think 5. Okay.
5. Cool. Oh, that's right. It was 5 originally.
All right, Matt, start us off.
Would it?
That fits with history.
No, I know. It fits with them perfectly. Would the series work as a week by week? Maybe. Still was a better overall series for what it was, but still, especially for being an animated project, was wonderful.
Okay. All right, James.
Yeah, I'm the lower of the end. I think I'm going to give it 3 out of 5, and I'm at the lower of the end. So that I want to say especially good. I do think this is a very interesting Spider-Man Elseworld story in the same vein of the problem is like it also doesn't have an ending, and if we're looking at Spider-Man origin stories, we've gotten a lot in the last 20 years, so that's why you're getting a 3. Having said that, there are lines from this that are perfect. There are characters and arcs that are really well done. One of the best lines in the study, cool, like Captain America, not somebody lame from Queens.
Yeah.
And it's like self even before you got bit by the spider, which is a major component to the Spider-Man character. And whoever is writing this show is not a bad writer. You would do well in the Spider-Man comic book world, which might be a step back, but we need good Spider-Man comic book writers, so that's a 5.
Yeah, one of the better ones. Did you hear him say 3?
I did. I'm trying to figure
Those are major things
3 out
for
of
Coke.
5 is pretty.
But-
Yeah, for a James Cup production.
James 5.
Again, I counter that there is an ending. It's just then there's also the here's 5 minutes of stuff we're looking forward to. Okay, cut that out, and you have Spider-Man swinging. No, you have Spider-Man swinging through the city, and
where you never had the big conflict with the ultimate big bad that was this story, and so like for me that's not an ending. Like that is a postponed ending in my opinion.
the ultimate big bad for this series was Scorpion, and again, you haven't seen episode 7. You may understand a little more why I feel the way I do.
Yeah, that gives him more weight.
I'm not trying to discount your thoughts on it. I'm just saying that there is Scorpion was and is intended to be the big bad for this season. Yeah. So.
13-year-old Jared would probably give this a 5. Like I would have been real fucking excited about this show. That being said, I'm gonna give it a 4 right now because I just think there was some stuff that just wasn't for me. And for those couple of bad things that I said, with been leaning a little heavy on the exposition on the characters and some of that tag stuff on the end. I understand why they're there. I just feel they were a bit unnecessary.
Yeah.
So I'll give it a 4. Overall, though, like I'm excited to see what comes next. You know what I mean? Like I want to watch the. I will be when they say the next season's coming. I'm going to be more excited than I was.
Yeah.
When this was coming out, to be honest.
I know I'm gonna go back and at least watch 2 more episodes of this show, which if I didn't like it, I wouldn't even give it a fucking chance.
Yeah.
And I'll watch season 2. Like, cause season 2 has that fucking fight I'm waiting on. So, season, I'll watch season 2 if they make it.
Okay, well, let's go to... Let's talk a little bit about Daredevil, which we're going to be watching next week. We got the first 2 episodes that are going to be dropping on March 4th, I believe.
1, 2, 3, 4. Yes, the 4th. Tuesday the 4th.
And we will be here reviewing the Daredevil season. Do we know how many episodes it is? 10?
So here's the thing.
Yeah, because there's supposed to be a shitload of episodes.
Okay, so here's what happened. This is 18 episodes. 18 episodes have been filmed. But...
on for a Disney show.
But...
Or network show.
Hold on, James. Hold on.
We're dropping 2 at a time.
But we're only getting 9, which is supposed to be a quote-unquote season 1.
Now that sounds like a Disney show.
There you go. The other 9 episodes do not have a release date. They just have been finished. I'm sure they'll go back and do some post things again to touch them up or whatever.
Okay.
But so it'll be interesting to see at the end of episode 9 whether it's justifiably a season-ending episode or one of those Stranger Things. Here's a couple of episodes. We're going to split this up now and show the rest of them later type thing.
Yeah, probably.
That'd
be my bet.
So
I hope that they I get the shooting all at once. Thank you, Back to the Future 2 and 3, who showed us if you just keep the motherfucker because after that, then we got the Lord of the Rings and everything. They looked at like if you're gonna make sequels, just strap those motherfuckers down, film everything all right at once, and then once you've got it all filmed, it's in the can, you can release it as you want.
Yeah.
And so after that, we got, after Back to the Future 2 and 3, we got Lord of the Rings. We got so many films that just like, we're Kill Bill 1 and 2. We're shooting both the movies together at once.
Yeah. Well, we're able to
I get
release
that.
them each year because everything that you're talking about, like they said, okay, here's this one, and then the next year's the next one. So they were able to ride the hype train too. I feel like, all the way through to the next one.
The only difference here is that we were told this was supposed to be 18 episodes. They filmed 18 episodes, but now they made the creative decision to split it up into 2 seasons. When they never made it clear that was their intention to begin with.
No, it wasn't.
Did you hear that, viewers? A corporation lied to its public.
I feel betrayed.
Okay.
I feel so betrayed by Disney now. I've never felt
Jen,
betrayed by Disney before. Now, just
go
now, I feel betrayed.
You lied to us,
They
you
were always the
motherfuckers.
most
You
trustworthy.
lied.
That
We
mouse
caught you.
face.
Anyway.
But the other thing that's been said is that supposedly the other 9 episodes are going to be released this year, which makes it seem more like Disney is hedging their bets with everything.
Yeah.
It's like,
Well, it would be interesting if they actually did something like that and it meant something, like Thunderbolt, something that happened there affected it.
you talk
Yeah,
about
and-
Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. season 1?
Yeah, exactly. Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. season 1.
I just wanted to see.
Hey.
I just want to see James's look on that.
But Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. season
God damn it!
1,
I think I'm not in charge of Marvel, but I really think they're making a misstep with because we got too many bad movies in a row.
No.
And then Deadpool
Well,
Wolverine was a great film,
we
but
didn't
we had
get
too many shows
bad
and movies
in a
where it
row.
was
The last
them coming
movie
out
was
with
Deadpool,
fucking
Wolverine, and it was
15
good.
movies this year.
I know.
But there wasn't too many bad movies in a row because, again, Deadpool Wolverine was the last movie. There just hasn't been that many in Captain America, even though it's performed well
I
at the
paid
box
to see the
office.
Marvels in the theater. I paid to see fucking what was it? Crappy McGee. Fucking Doctor Strange 2 in the theater. I paid to see that fucking Ant-Man 3 in the theater. I paid too
But
much.
in between that, we had
And Guardians 3.
Guardians 3, and
Guardians
we
3
had,
was solid.
so out of 5
Black
movies,
Panther
6
was
movies,
there.
Yeah.
out of 5 movies, 3 have been mediocre to bad, and 2 have been pretty fucking good. So that's not that bad. It's just we've expected.
Me personally, I would put the brakes. They're hitting the gas. Let's see where we land.
Well, we'll see where we go after Fantastic Four and how quickly we move along.
Well, we will see how we do next week with Daredevil.
Yeah.
Do you have something else you want to say?
Well, just Daredevil's release schedule is wonky too. We
Yeah,
get 2, 1, 1, 1, 2 or 3, and then 1 and then 2, something like that.
Weird.
We're there. All 9 episodes will be aired before the end of April. Before it seems like it's intentionally being released at a pace that they do not want to go against The Last of Us season 2, and they do not want to go against Andor.
And they want to
Season
get it
2.
out before Thunderbolts
He's
too.
blind. He doesn't see that shit. Knock it off.
Yeah.
You're being insensitive.
Daredevil doesn't see it. No, but I don't care about Daredevil.
He doesn't.
Disney.
He's not going to see it at all, you
Not gonna
asshole.
see
There,
it
you
unless
happy?
it's raining.
Disney's gonna see it.
Right?
It's gotta be raining.
Don't bring up that movie.
Not gonna see it unless it's raining.
It's gotta be in the. No, you can watch the show if he's in his
It's got the same
bathtub,
name.
and he watches the vibrations of the show. So, aw,
All right.
Daredevil can't watch the show. He's
It's on
on.
LCD screens. He can't see it anymore.
I think we should
Yeah.
say come back and see us next week for Daredevil. Until then, like and subscribe. Oh, and I keep forgetting to do this. We're actually brought to you by some people that probably
We are?
not happy. They're probably not very happy that we never mentioned it or showed this QR code that's on here. But we want to thank Apex Industries. We want to thank, check out that QR code for all their fantastic locations and products, as well as the new gas station, the gas station, open 9 a.m. to 10 p.m. Over behind 1933. So check that out. Check out that QR code. Until next time, I'm Smoking Phat J.
I want to make it clear that I was never told we had sponsorships
Well, I mean-
anytime I'm in charge of the show.
I'm supposed to say it.
I want the sponsors to know I will wear barcodes on my
There
shirt.
you
Like,
Well,
we're
I mean,
good,
It's-
sponsors.
it's
Don't
If you
worry.
see the
QR
smoke
codes
in
now,
the
James.
room, I partake in their product. It's
There you
kinda,
go.
It's kind of like me holding the
I'll
Pepsi
wear
or something.
them Gargamel
Yeah,
barcodes.
exactly.
I'm not drunk and old. I'm not drunk and old.
We got it. We got this. We got this. Yeah, so check it
I'll
out.
wear one of those Gargamel things.
All
I
right.
saw Back to the Future the musical, and it was 2 hours and 48 minutes.
Oh God.
Did they tell all 3 of the
You
stories?
tell me I didn't.
Was it only the first movie, or was it all 3?
The first movie.
Wow.
Did Marty fuck his?
You know what?
Did Marty fuck his mom in this
Yeah.
version?
What's great is his mom's got a whole song about wanting to fuck him, so that was nice. Like, there you go. That one's for you,
I'm gonna review
Utah.
something on Apple Music tonight. Do they
But
have the
it's, yeah.
soundtrack to the Back to the Future musical?
Really good song in Back to the Future the musical is "Johnny Be Good," written by Marty McFly in 1955.
Yes.
Excellent.
Yes.
Nobody working on that show wrote anything or did anything good.
All right, guys.
The effects are amazing,
Let's get the fuck out
and
of
they
here.
have to be.
I'm smoking Phat J.
I am Matt Christy.
Drunk James Cope.
Yeah.
See you guys next week. Peace.
Bye.
Yeah.